right? So today example is PetData Android. Let's go there and let's clone it. Code, copy it, and open Android Studio, and let's clone it with this. Get from version control, command V, PetData Android, clone. Trust project. By default, it is in branch main, but I want to explain branch called simplest first, because it is simplest. And it is also matching your assignment, part 1 of your assignment. So I click main, and I'm switching to simplest. I click simplest and click checkout. Okay. So let's see the structure of it. So I created a sets folder the way how I already explained it, and I copy pasted images of pets. There is no subfolder of pets, it is just images. Okay. So assets, I create a directory and I copy pasted images of pets. Here they are. Okay. This is in third version of the code, these images will come from the server, and I will delete this in the third version, in third branch. This is why I have 3 different branches. Okay. Also, in Java folder, in this source code, I have data local package, and I created fake data list. Okay, and this is fake data list. So again, in third version, it is coming from the server, but right now I'm working on the GUI, so I need to have some data to see what is going on. So I copy pasted this from my server code to save time. Okay. So what I have here, fake pet data list. This is list of pet object, and I'm calling constructor by copy pasting this stuff. First parameter, it's name of the pet. Second, what kind of pet it is. Third, year old, how many years old, and last one, it is name, image name. Okay. Yes.
Do you want us to do something similar like this to assignment 2?
Exactly. Okay. It doesn't have to be called fake data, blah, blah, blah. It's your decision. But in part 1, you create list of objects and you display it, because it is the simplest thing to check that your GUI is working. All right? How you call it, it's your choice. Okay? In the example from Google, it is not called fake, it's just it's called dogs, just, right? So how you call it, it's your choice. But you just create file, create list of hard-coded objects. Okay? And you don't have to type it, because you can copy paste it from server. Okay? In your case, there is also description, and description is long line, so this is why it's easier just to copy paste. And I want you to make description foldable, the same as in lab. Okay? So in your case, description is foldable. In my case, there's no description. Right. Next. This program does use view model, and in order to use view model with compose, we need to include library related to that. Okay. So which library to include? It's you can find it by searching developerandroid.com. Or easiest, open this project since I provide it's exactly the same libraries. It has to be, right? Because programs that display pets is not scientifically different, right, from programs that displaying flowers, right? Okay. So You need to edit a Gradle scripts. First one, I didn't edit it, if I remember correctly, or you can compare this with default code, and if it's different, just copy paste it. Okay. For second one, I did edit it. One thing we figured it out before, if we use later libraries, we need to change it to 34, but by default it is 33. Otherwise it doesn't compile. If you cannot copy paste entire piece because you need to be careful about this part. This is definitely different in your project. Because in your project it will be like sheridan.yourloginname.assignment2 something. Right? So do not copy paste entire piece, but this is the only thing which is different essentially. Right? Just be careful about this part, otherwise it won't compile. Next. Scrolling. I changed this because it was 1.8, I changed it to 17. The same idea, if we use newer libraries, it's required. Okay. Changed this to 17 and 17. And when I insert something, I usually give space around with some comments, so it stands out, so you see that this is additional piece that I inserted. This part we will use in every project. It is to use view model, and we will use in every project. With view model with compose. How do I know? I don't. I went to developerandroid.com and I just searched for view model compose, and I found what to insert. Okay. Next. What is this one? I use coil library to display images. If we put images in drawable, we don't need coil library. But if we pick images from web, we need coil library. And we can use the same library the same way if we display images from assets. So as long as it works from assets, it is just a matter of changing address. From assets folder to web folder. And it works exactly the same. So this is my rationale of using coil library even in the first iteration, so we don't have to rewrite GUI code in any different way. Okay? Coil library is great. It maintains local copy if you display images from web. First time it loads images, it maintains local copy, so next time it's like a browser, it will not download image again, it will use local copy of the image. And this is it. Okay. After editing, you click elephant and synchronize. You need to click elephant when you either edit these branches or switch between branches. I did switch branch from main to simplest. I need to synchronize it, otherwise it's getting confused. Okay. Next. So I got data, I got images, so I started to work on content. In my main activity, I renamed it, by default it was related to name of the project, like PetData theme or something. I renamed it to app theme just to have it copy-pastable between different projects. You don't have to rename it, essentially. This was hello greeting. I deleted it and I created function in app screen in UI folder. I created file app screen. So in UI folder, new Kotlin class file app screen, and created an initially empty app screen composable function in that folder. Next, I went back to main activity, deleted the stuff, and put app screen there. It's empty for this moment. Okay. So this is an original change. Next, perhaps the next thing is to create a view model. So I created inside of UI. I created package pet list. It is for first page and it is only page. But I decided, okay, I will have a package for this page. So I created this page, package, and I added view model. Right click, new Kotlin class file, selected class, and I type it pet list view model. In your case, flower list view model. Okay? And enter, and I ended up with empty class. In order to be view model, it has to inherit from view model. So I put inheritance from view model, because by default it's just regular class. Okay. As you see, it is using pet list UI state. Although my data is hard-coded, I'm pretending that later it will be loaded. So I will have a state loading, loaded, or error. Okay? But right now it is probably the simplest. So I will create loaded state, right? Because data is already here. So yes?
Are we also hard coding for ourselves?
What do you mean?
Like, are we also hard coding the?
For part one, you hard coded this, yeah. So you see, it has UI state. Okay, so I created UI state, pet list UI state. As you see, it is interface. So I did right click, new Kotlin class file, interface, and I type it pet list UI state, pet list UI state. Press it, enter, and it got me file. Interface pet list UI state, I added select because states are usually select interfaces, because we have fixed number of states. I created one state because it's simplest scenario. I already have data and I call it loaded. Okay. If you compare to Google example, sometimes they call it success because it's already loaded, success. Okay, it's a preference here. Okay. And this state contains a list of pets. So this is where my data will live inside of the state. Okay. But in future version, like the next branch, I will have a loading state and I will also have a state which is error state. Okay. But now I'm just creating necessary frame to make it walk, okay, without sweating in other directions, okay? So I created loaded and this, okay? Next, going back to view model, this is container, mutable state container of UI state. I'm initializing this to load it, and you see it is parameter of the constructor. In fake list, it is just global constant. I define it here, you already saw it as. So this is what I mean hard-coded. It is hard-coded here. So I created UI state, loaded, and I just call constructor with hard-coded array. It's not coming from web, it's coming from your program. All right? But later, of course, this will be changed to loading, not to loaded, loading, because initially data is not here. So first state will be loading, correct? But for now, I'm just waiting, I'm working on my GUI to make it look right. Are you with me? Okay. Next, I create UI state. This is private, this is public. Both of them refer to the same object, you see? State is immutable, and it is public, and it's visible from GUI. UI state with underscore, it is private, and it is mutable. So if your code below can change it, but there's no code which will change it. But later we'll have such code that will change it, the state. But currently it is hard-coded here. All right, questions? So this is how I hard-coded this here. In UOB term, I want this.
Hard-coded values?
In UOB term, I said the UOB practical part of midterm will contain, I will ask you to display hard-coded data as a list. I want this. Okay. Next, going to our app screen. I already created view model, and now I can pick it. You see? View model, and this is magic function that will create the object if it doesn't exist, or find it if it's already existing. Right? So it will not create view model each time. Right? And this view model is passed to pet list screen function, but it doesn't exist yet, so I need to create it. Right? So I created file in pet list, and this is pet list screen file. The same way, right click, new, code in class file, and I type it pet list screen. So it is pet list screen function, this one, that is receiving view model. Why do I have modifier but it's not coming in? Good question. If you read first chapter of the book, textbook, it says, in order to make function easily reusable, you better pass modifier and parameter, assign it by default to modifier, and put it as parameter of this top level container, or top level of composable function inside of it. So it is just following recommendation of first chapter of the textbook. Google also recommends it in their tutorial. So not required, but recommended by Google in textbook. Okay. You can ignore it if you want. Okay. So this is a function, and remember view model is received as a parameter. What do I have here? This part is always here is to make up scrolling work, because I pass this scroll behavior to scaffold. What is scaffold? Let's run this application so to explain what it is. Devices, view mode, window. Okay. Scaffold, it's a function, top level function for entire page that connects top bar. If there is navigation bar at the bottom, it will also connect to that. Body, which is displayed. If there is an action button, like floating action button, it's also will be connected. What is the purpose of it? To make all pieces work together. For example, I'm scrolling the list and you see top bar is hiding. Okay? So it is working together, right? So my events of scroll events affecting folding top bar. If we also have bottom bar, it will also not overlap hamster. So it's to make pieces interact. Okay. If we want to have a top bar in application, the easiest way to use scaffold. The same about action button. In this case, I use only top bar. It is this top bar parameter of this function, scaffold, composable function. And this part, it's lambda function that is matching what is inside of the body. It is this piece. All right, yes?
Do we need to have the same thing for our assignments? Like top navigation?
Yep. This is in your best interest, because if you don't have it, you'll have to change code a lot. Right? Because my example has it. You can look it up, how it's done. Okay. It is not explicitly required in assignment, so if you skip this part, I will not deduct points. But it's probably easier if you just do the same way. So, right? So you will not lose points if it's not there. Yes?
I'm not sure why, but I can't scroll up and down very much. Like at all.
You pull it, but it doesn't. I'm pushing by mouse. I'm not sure. No, my mouse doesn't scroll it. Yeah, you're right. No, I'm pushing by mouse. Yes. Okay. All right. So this is scaffold that contains top bar, and this is my own function. It's not. No, it's not my own. I copy pasted from another example. Okay. It's not my own. But this function is inside of the code. It's not library function. We will talk about it. Okay. This part, it is lambda function parameter that is corresponding this part. What is inside? There are additional parameters that I didn't use. Parameter for floating action button and for parameter for bottom navigation bar. Okay. They don't use it here. There are more parameters, but we will use this later. Please notice that this lambda function is receiving inner padding as a parameter. And this inner padding is passed to modifier of list body. Okay. This is used internally to make things not to overlap. Okay. I tried to find information on web by Googling what is for, and I found discussion online, not on developer.android.com. I think it was what is Stack Overflow, I believe. What is for? And version of people who say who discussed this, it is to avoid bottom bar overlapping content. Okay, so if we have bottom bar, it won't overlap hamster. Okay, I believe it. I didn't check. Okay. I just follow recommendation from Google examples. They always pass inner padding into content window as padding. You see, modifier padding. Before we go into content window, let's discuss top bar. I already said that this is a function defined separately, and it is a PetData top bar. As this is copy-pasted function, I could just delete things that are not used, but I decided, okay, I will keep it there. As extra information, so you have copy-pastable piece from one project to another project. I have full intention to keep copy-pasting this between my examples. So let's look at the parameters. Title, and this is title. Obviously, it is title, right? It is title here, pet list. Scroll behavior is received from outside, passed inside, and it's also passed to modifier of scaffold. It is to synchronize scroll bar, top bar with scrolling. Yes?
Sorry, for the title, was it extracted as a string resource? Because I thought we weren't supposed to do that if we were getting data from servers.
It is string resource.
But are we supposed to do that if we're getting strings from a server?
We don't get word pet list from server. Otherwise, okay? This is not coming from a server. It is just hard-coded. Okay. So let's continue. So this is title. What is this? Can navigate back. This top bar inside of the code, we will see, will have an arrow displayed in this corner. if this is true, can navigate back. So it has a button here that will appear, back button, right? And this is just a switch. Display or not display this button. Okay, back button. In this case, false, do not display it. And scroll behavior is passed to this function. Okay. So let's open this function and see what is inside. Pet stop bar. So it receives title, it receives turn on, turn off this button for this arrow, modifier, scroll behavior, and optional parameter, lambda function that will be activated when we click on this back button. Okay? Because when we click navigate, it needs to execute some code outside to flip the screen. So this navigate up is essentially navigate back. It is lambda function provided to the stop bar if we want to go to back navigation. Go back. All right? So what is inside? Inside I'm using center aligned top bar. And this is library function. And this is experimental. This is why it says opt-in experimental materials 3 API. This is not my idea. I copy-pasted this from one of the Google examples. Okay. What do I have here? Parameter title, parameter modifier, scrolling, and navigation icon. And this is icon will be in the corner. And it will be displayed if can navigate back through. It will display icon button. And this is on click will be lambda function that is provided from outside. And this is icon itself. Arrow back, icons fill it, arrow back. And this is text for screen readers. Screen reading software. Okay. So for people who don't see arrows, they will listen. It's back button. Okay. All right. And I change it color. By default, it will appear white. So I change this to nice blue, this way. At top AVP bar default, center aligned top bar colors, and I change this to primary container color to get its nice blue instead of just white background. All right? So this is about top bar. Now, going back to our pet screen, when UI state is equal to load, display this. Obviously, it will be more states. So now it is pet UI state loaded. Show this. It will be another is loading. Show that loading screen. Is arrow. Show arrow screen. So this when will grow. Okay. But now I just want to work on appearance. So I have only choice. Loaded, and I have it inside of when, only this choice. Yes?
For the PetData top bar, right? Did you have to make a new function? Couldn't you just do it in the, say, PetData screen file itself?
Yes, you can, but I copy-pasted this function from elsewhere. It was easier for me. Okay, I just renamed this function.
Because I thought you had to make a new function, which is why you were doing it.
Okay, inside of this piece, you see there is just library function wrapped with extra information. Okay, definitely if you copy paste this piece into outside of, it will be just longer code. It would work. But for me, it was easier just to copy paste the entire function from elsewhere and rename it. All right. I copy paste a lot. So let's continue. I'm in a pet list screen. I have list body, another function that receives data, UI state.pets, it's a data. How do I know? It is this one, loaded, right? UI state. If it is loaded, pets is a data. So it is data. Data passed as the first parameter, and second, it receives padding. Right? This is padding. Modifier, padding, inner padding. All right? Now, list body. Going there. List body. In the list body, I receive list of pets and modifier. And modifier, in this case, is for passing padding, right? So this is why modifier is given to lazy column. So this piece is called lazy column. There is also lazy row and lazy grid, lazy vertical grid, lazy horizontal grid. Lazy vertical grid, it's like a lazy column, but more than one column in it. And horizontal is similar. Right? Why is called lazy? Because it is building elements just before they appear. Why? To save memory and save computation time, because user will not necessarily scroll it till the very end, so there is no point of building this ahead of the time a lot. Right? So again, lazy is because it's building stuff just before it's appear. Okay. When you use lazy column, there is a bug with Android Studio, and we need to be aware. Okay. It is this import, items. When you use items, you need to verify where correct import. Because unfortunately, Android Studio sometimes automatically import items from PROG library. I don't know, first time I noticed this in some ways, it's still the same way. You need to go upstairs into imports and make sure that items is from the same lazy folder as lazy column. Okay? If it is coming from elsewhere, you just need to delete it and copy paste this one. Because if it is from another library, definitely it won't work. Okay? So this is bug in Android Studio. I don't know, maybe feature, but it looks like bug. Sometimes, actually almost each time, it is importing items from another library. Okay? You need to check import. So lazy column, content padding values. It is around items. So you see this is slightly wider, left, right, or start, stop. You see, oh, sorry. It's horizontal. I give 16, it's slightly bigger here. And vertical, it is smaller. Right? See, smaller. And modifiers pass it down. Items, it is for each loop. This is my pet list, and it will repeat for every item in the loop, in the list. And this is one element of the list. So for each element of the list, I'm calling pet list item function. And this function is below. Okay? All right? All right. So this function is below, pet list item. In this function, I have a card. And this card is what you see, those cards. Okay. I made it slightly up, so to create shadow around, to appear that it is popped out slightly. And this is default. I think I change. If you make it bigger, you will have more prominent shadow. Okay. So I have this shadow. I have padding 8 dp, but this padding is not around the card, it is inside of the card. It is this gap. See? And fill max width. It will force this card stretch from this padding till this padding, from 16 dp here to 16 dp here. If you do not say fill max width, they will have different widths, which would look ugly. they will try to shrink to smallest possible. For example, Canary Tweety obviously is longer than Cat Oscar, so this card will be shorter than Canary Tweety card. So this will make it visually not pleasing. Okay, so it is the reason why I'm filling box widths. All right. Next, this card inside has a row, and in the row I have image and column. So I have image and column. So this is row, in the row image, and this is column. Okay. Center vertically. Center vertically, what's the reason for it? To get this piece centered in front of center of this image. So this is not stuck to the top, it is about middle of the image. And spaced by 16. And this is mandatory gap between this column and this part. But this row, this column, is also stretched edge to edge. The reason for stretching edge to edge, because I want to center this horizontally. If column is not stretched, I cannot center this part within the column. Okay? Because column will gravitate to left, and this part will gravitate to left inside of the column, because column doesn't stretch to entire piece. All right? So for this reason, column is filling max width, because otherwise this will not center horizontally within the column. It won't have a space to move to the center, because column will not be the center of the space. Okay? And center in the column, I center horizontally these pieces. So they center it, you see. Speaking about image, this is async image. This comes from COIL library, what you already saw. In this case, it is referring to assets and folder images inside of assets. The difference is quite small if it is web address. You can just replace it with web address and it will pick image from web. It is that smart. You can use additional parameters to display while it is loading, like loading image or broken when it didn't come. I decided not to bother, just to make code shorter. There are also parameters for spare cases, like display this image if the image didn't come, like broken image icon, or display this image if it is while it is loading. Okay. I didn't bother, but where to find that information? There is a link on Slate, call it Mars images. This example is from Google. It is displaying Mars images from web, and they use more parameters for COIL library. All right. Content description, it is pet kind space pet name. It is for screen readers. Okay. So in this column, I have this piece is also row because it contains two pieces. Pet kind capitalized because by default it's starting with cat, dog, small, canary with small letter. So I make it capital. This is capitalized, font size, and this is pet name. So I have additional row here, and this is not a row, it's just text for years old. And this is different from Google example because I use it plurals. Please notice that pet age is twice. And it is intentional. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Potentially, it is inside of the as a template, so it can have several numbers in it. But it can pick correct template according to some number, only one number, because it's like an index. So this number is used twice for different purpose. One, it is to pick template, and second, it is to insert data inside of template. Plurals are defined in string XML, so let's look up how it's done. So I'm going to string XML. Resources, values, string XML. Here it is, plurals. This is a name to refer to it. I pick it by ID. So this is ID. Where is that? Pet list, screen list, body. It is this ID. See, plurals years old. And if it is 1, it is year old. Yeah. If it is other than 1, years old. This is specific to English, obviously. If it is different language, first of all, it will be written in different language, but for different language, it could be different grammar rule. Some languages use different, if it is 2. For 1, it is something, for 2 is something, and then they have maybe another form when it is less than 10 or whatever, and eventually plural. It really depends on language. And Google tries to make it general. So if we try to go with item, you will see there are choices to adapt to different languages. So to display for 1, for few, for many, for 2 or 0, just because languages have different roles. Okay. So this is how to use plurals. All right? Yes? Yeah, we'll have break, yeah. I think it is about, I think I finished explanation first part right now. Let me think. And we'll have break. So I will delete this part because obviously it's, right? And let's, just 1 second, let's go to list body and make sure that it is last thing. Yep.
I just have another question. So pet age, you said it was repeated twice, once to choose a template and then the second time to repeat it.
Yeah. This is to choose one or many. Or 1, 2, it is selector. It is for selection. And this is to insert inside of template, instead of %d. Because template may have more than 1 number in it. And in this case, you provide more than 1 number. So it is repeated for different purpose. Okay? Questions? And I think it is end of part 1. So in your case, GUI will not be exactly the same, obviously, because you will use template, you will use themes. But in this case, you see I hard-coded font sizes. So you will use fonts from themes. So this part is different. Also, rearrange it the way you like. Make it look pretty. You are welcome to copy-paste, but you are not welcome to copy-paste directly from exercise 4.1, because I asked you to customize appearance. Okay? Yes? Questions? In this case, I was lucky. My image was right size, but if it is wrong size, you need to change size, obviously, here. Right? Find out how. It's not difficult. Questions? No? So this is it. Add any beautification what you like, but first make sure that code is working. Okay? Yes?